Testing. Assalamualaikum and welcome to another episode of BARBELL JUNCTION. I'm your host Azmir. With me today is Hariz.
What's up, guys?
Yeah. Today we are gonna talk about competitiveness in the Malaysian powerlifting scene.
Yep.
Am I right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
So before that, please go to our YouTube channel, click subscribe. Don't forget to also click the notification button. Do leave your comments so that we know what you're thinking. If you have any criticism or anything, just leave it in the comment section. We are also available on Spotify. Here we go. Assalamualaikum,
Okay.
Hariz.
Salam, Azmir. How are you?
Welcome back.
Thank you. I think people think
BARBELL
we
Junction.
have beef ke apa kan. So
Oh, I hope not.
this is proof that
Really?
we're okay lah kan.
Oh,
Right?
no, I don't have beef with anyone. Well, not
Just
not
in case
everyone.
lah.
Yeah.
If anyone thinks.
Yeah. So itulah. You actually threw me off.
I think you're gonna ask me who I am.
Yeah. I mean, I
Stuff
think
like
most of our audience already know who you are, kan?
Mhm.
But just for the sake, for those people who don't know,
yeah.
please
There
just-
could be some
yeah,
few.
just introduce yourself.
So my name is Hariz. I am 23 years old. I live in Bukit, Jelutong.
Mm-hmm.
I'm currently studying Islamic finance, masters at INSEF. No one knows where that is, but it's somewhere in UM. KFC is landmark.
Mm.
So if you've been to KFC, then just go depan sikit and you get there.
All right.
So that's personal. Powerlifting background. I started lifting out of high school,
Mm-hmm.
but when I was in secondary school, I brought my equipment to the dorm because I was in Asrama Penuh kan.
You started actually secondary school.
In Form 5, yeah. Form
Oh,
5.
did not know that.
Yeah.
actually.
But that was just macam like recreational lifting. It wasn't competitive powerlifting at all lah.
But it was powerlifting.
No, it wasn't powerlifting. It was
It's
just lifting.
Lifting. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so I bought. So my school didn't have a gym. Well, actually they had a gym, but for some reason
Scrappy.
it wasn't. No, it wasn't even accessible. And that crappy and
What's the
inaccessible.
point?
So, right? Kan. So what I did was I went to Fitness Concept, bought a bunch of those plates, right?
Yep.
And the adjustable dumbbells. I brought them to the dorm. So you imagine I put the barbells and the plates in the
You
car
actually
and stuff.
bought a barbell.
Yeah, but it wasn't like this kind of barbell.
Yeah,
It was the skinny one again.
Fitness concept, of course.
So imagine I loaded the car with all those plates, brought it to the school, and then I had to unload all that and climb up the stairs with the weights. People which I'm looking, what is this guy doing?
Yeah.
So jacked, man. Okay. But so I started training then, but I couldn't do things like squats. I couldn't even do bench press, to be honest. But there was no bench,
so,
right?
Yeah. So what did you do with the barbell?
I did other stuff like I did things that I could do.
Deadlift lah kot.
Deadlift boleh juga. I had to like stack some books on the plates. Some buku buat jadi macam tu lah kan. So
And look how well you turn out, kan?
yeah, I know, right? Hard work gets you somewhere.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was just things that I had to make shift lah. I could do dumbbell presses, but I couldn't really do a lot of lower body stuff. After high school, I signed up for a commercial gym. That was when I could do a bit more powerlifting stuff.
Right.
But that was just a short stint, because I started my foundation in February, and so I couldn't. Then I had to
Go off lah.
go off, and I couldn't train consistently because the uni that I was at didn't have a gym too.
Yeah, but then that means that you actually wanted to get into powerlifting quite earlier on, lah.
If I could, I would have. Yeah, so I found out about powerlifting quite early on in my lifting career. But actually, in my high school years too, I didn't know about powerlifting as a sport. But I was into strength training lah. So I knew all the other programs like the 5-3-1 and stuff like that. I've already known all along.
5-3-1.
So I'm actually more OG than Brandon. But I never could really. Well, actually, I could have implemented it, but my mind was so wrapped around specific exercises that I should do, macam squats, bench, and deadlift. I thought those were the exercises that you could only perform with those training programs, which now I know you can tailor it with any movements pun.
Right.
So I couldn't really do full-fledged with those programs, so I just did like whatever I felt was okay lah, right? It got me some progress, but I could have optimized my
It's
program
quite interesting that because almost all the people that we have on the podcast, they usually start with bodybuilding.
Yeah. Because
how did you find out about powerlifting?
Powerlifting, okay, interesting. So initially I started off, bodybuilding. I wanted to look good, kan. I think that was all the rage in my teenage years.
Yeah.
All the boys wanted to be jacked, kan.
Yeah.
And then I think at some point I realized that I actually enjoyed the pursuit of getting better each session, increasing more. That was like a bit more attractive to me lah.
Okay.
Maybe I just had bad genetics for bodybuilding, I don't know, and using an excuse. But I realized that I could progress which are better than my peers lah. So I could press more weight than them, kan.
Right.
So I said, okay, maybe I'm pretty good at this, kan. So I went on to YouTube and I figured out I looked at videos on how to improve your lifts, how to get stronger on squats or get stronger on the bench press. Then I stumbled upon this channel that was dedicated to powerlifting lah. His name, the channel was called Candito Training. I think a lot of people who are into powerlifting will know this guy, but he really.
That's why I don't know.
Yeah, that's why I don't. That's why I just. Okay. So he has a training program that's very popular among powerlifters who are just starting out. It's called the 6-week training program, something like Candito Training. So I stumbled upon his channel, and then I thought, so the way he conveyed information was very legit lah. It didn't sound like he was just throwing buzzwords here and there with no context or with no explanation, kan. He made the explanation simple and made sense to me lah. So I thought he was legit, and I started looking at his other videos, and then I found that's how I came to know about the sport lah, from his channel, because he was a powerlifter.
At this time you were still in Form 4, Form 5
This time I was already, I think I just left high school, so I was waiting to get into college.
So then when you get to college, then how did your powerlifting career?
Okay, when I got into college, the first year foundation, we couldn't bring cars, right? So we had to stay in the accommodation that was provided by the it's a weird university, but this university is in a resort.
Resort?
Yeah, it's an old resort. Yeah.
Wow, so cool.
Yeah, it's not that cool.
But it's not. Is it by a beach? By the beach, ke apa?
No. It's actually by the highway actually. Like if you close out of the uni, there's like cars coming both sides. It's the resort is called Aikro Country Resort. I don't know if you've heard that before.
Okay, I think I went ahead. I thought you're talking about New Zealand lah.
No. This is my first year in my foundation was in Malacca.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So this old resort, some rich guy, I don't know if I can say his name. Boleh kot kan?
Boleh kot.
It's just public info, right? Tan Sri Halim Saad, if you know him. So I think he bought the resort or something like that. Or he made a company to run the resort, something like that. And they turned that resort into a university campus.
Okay.
So the first year of the foundation we had to stay in the campus. We couldn't bring cars. Adalah juga budak-budak yang naughty and they brought the cars illegally. Kena marah warden macam whatever.
Yeah, alright. Okay. That's a separate topic.
But so I did the same thing that I had to do back in high school, which is bring my own barbells and weight sets and all that. And same thing, I couldn't really train back squats. I couldn't really do deadlifts. I could, but it was a bit practical because the plates are small, right? Those fitness concept plates.
The metal plates, so.
Yeah, because this diameter was really small.
Yeah.
So I had to find ways to elevate it.
So I understand. Okay.
I use books.
Right. Oh, okay. All right.
The problem with using books is that the surface isn't grippy, I guess. And there's and it's the same surface all around again. So when you drop the weights, there's a tendency to roll.
Right.
The bar to roll. So
that's a bit dangerous lah.
Dangerous and impractical lah.
Yeah.
So when deadlifts came around, I never really enjoyed it. But I could do things like floor pressing with the dumbbell, overhead press, stuff like that, rows. I remember doing dumbbell rows and pull-ups. So, and then when I got to my first year, that was when we had to stay outside of the campus. We had to rent houses or accommodations outside, and we could bring cars. That was when I had a bit more freedom to venture lah in Malacca and find gyms.
Okay.
So luckily there was a gym that actually had Ivanko plates.
But the
bumper ones. Bumper ones, yeah.
Oh.
Bumper couple plates. But I think the bar was just cheap barbells lah.
Yeah.
So I trained in that gym. Then that was when I guess my career started. Not competitive though, because there weren't any competitions for me to prep for anywhere, right?
This would probably be somewhere around
2014, 2015. So I trained like a powerlifter. I wouldn't consider myself a powerlifter then, because you have to compete to be called a powerlifter. Wow, surprise, right?
I did not know that. Why?
Because it's like you're saying you're a footballer, but you don't compete in any competition.
But you can just okay, I know what you mean. Okay, I understand what you're saying.
Right, you can do powerlifting,
right?
If you want to be called a powerlifter,
you have to compete.
At least in my book, lah.
All right.
Okay.
There you go.
Okay.
So I think a lot of people will be triggered.
I know. Yeah. So that was the start of, I guess, me training like a powerlifter. I could only like take it like to full gear when I was in New Zealand, when I actually had access to some of the gym equipment, and also the gym accessories like knee sleeves and belt and wraps. So for the longest time, I was training with like the Velcro belt and this cheap wrist wraps that I bought off of, I think it was this supplement store called Ego Nutrition, I think. Right. There's this wrist wraps it's just a laughing stock like compared to the SBD and whatever again. So when I got to New Zealand, and then I actually had access to those proper gym accessories, and then I could really take my training up a notch, and that's when I joined my first competition.
So you actually, when you took up powerlifting, you actually had the desire to compete.
I did, yes, I did. Definitely,
wow.
yeah, definitely.
Wow.
I mean, I don't think I was as competitive as I am now, but I just wanted to experience what it's like, you know.
But have you been a competitive person since young, ataupun?
With my siblings and cousins, yes, we were always competitive in like games and stuff like that.
Okay.
And I remember, I don't know, I think I'm the kind of guy who likes to perfect my craft, I think. So
I can see that lah.
Yeah, I get a bit obsessed. Let's see, I used to play Pokemon, no? My cousins also, we used to like play Pokemon. So I wanted to try to train my Pokemon every day, pagi sampai malam. In hindsight, it was actually very monotonous though, because you had to do the same thing over again. But
yeah, okay.
Because I had that goal inside, and so I was I don't care. I just wanna. Yeah. I found enjoyment in that monotony.
So it's just your character then to be almost competitive ataupun if not competitive lah.
I wouldn't say it's not so much that I want to beat this guy or beat that guy.
Yes, you want to improve you want to see how
so,
far you can push your own envelope.
I think that's it lah. I like the idea of you progressing, stuff like that.
It's very interesting. So then when did you first compete in your when did you first compete? Yeah.
It was in New Zealand. It was in 2017, which was my last year. I could have actually joined in 2016, but I think at the time I was like, I'm not strong enough, that kind of stuff. 2017, I joined the university club meet. They also call it like a novice competition. So I won that meet.
Like out of how many?
See, it was only like, I think there were only like 10 guys.
That's pretty decent.
It's okay. Maybe more.
It's not like you're competing against yourself. And
It's not like I didn't have to try.
Okay, 10 okay.
But the thing is, with this competition, it's like open, so they use Wilks. Okay. So I was up against this strong guy. This is one of 105 kg guy who's squatting like 200 plus kan.
Okay.
But because it's based off Wilks, so the amount that I lifted based off of my body weight, and then some formula they churned out the number. So I won.
Yeah, I mean, it's still impressive, kan? I mean, regardless.
It was okay. Huh? It was okay, I think.
Right. A goal is a goal, kan?
I guess it was a goal. But it was a novice comp, so
yeah. Okay.
Can't really brag too much about it.
Right. And then how many competitions? I think you've done what, 4, right? 4 or 5?
To this date, I've done 6 competitions. 6. Yeah, 6 competitions so far.
So dare I say undefeated?
Yes. What was the word for it? I forgot the word.
Undisputed.
Undisputed. Yeah. I was thinking of that fighting movie too.
So I think you are competing in your next meet this weekend, right? For
yes. So I'm about. This
Is it going to
4
be
days
still?
out, I think.
Is it still going to be under juniors or ataupun you're?
So the GPA meets in Malaysia, they don't class you into juniors and stuff like that.
Oh,
In at least how the
shows
meet
how
is
little
run.
I know, kan?
But there is junior records. But how the meet is arranged, they just lump everyone together. But I think you can probably macam let them know that you're trying to break a junior record or something. But I think for practical purposes, they just lump everyone together in the same open category.
Okay.
But for this meet though that I'm joining, I think they combined a meet called schoolyard meet. Last year they had the schoolyard meet in June.
Okay.
It was a meet on its own. But I think due to the changes in the admin or whatever, so I decided to combine this raw with school meet. Schoolyard meet, sorry.
Schoolyard is for people who are certain age.
Who are still studying, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So do you consider
I'm a scholar. I'm a scholar.
So you're competing on the schoolyard ke ataupun?
Yes, I signed up with this, but I just did it for like the gigs again because I'm still a student and I can still do it. So why not? But then on a more serious note, I thought if I joined the schoolyard, it'll be on a different day from my athletes. And it turns out most of my athletes who compete on Sunday, which was the day that I compete as well, so that didn't work out.
So, but when do you think you're gonna compete in the
opens?
The opens.
I did opens APA last year.
Okay.
Yeah, so I'm considering doing APA this year, but the only thing that's holding me back is that I only have like 5 weeks to prep for APA after this meet. But I kind of want to do it, but because I don't know, it just gives me the drive. That gives me the drive to train lah.
So for APA you want to compete in open, but
for APA there's only the open category.
Okay. So what do you think are your chances are for this weekend's MPA Raw? Since
based on my knowledge, I don't know the competitors in the schoolyard that much.
Okay.
At least in the 75 class, right?
Alright. How many are there in your group?
I think that's like 75, under 75. Okay, a bit slightly more than that.
Okay lah. I think I know what's gonna happen.
I know what's gonna happen. I'm not gonna say what's gonna happen, but I think I know.
I think we both know what's gonna happen.
Yeah.
Well, by the time this episode comes out, we
will know.
And you mentioned that you have several athletes under you who are also competing in the MPA Raw. And how many are they?
For Raw, I think I have, in total I have 8, but in Raw I think I have like 6 athletes competing, I think. About 6, yeah.
That's quite a bit, right? Quite a number.
Yeah, I mean if they're all on the same day, then that's, so the thing is, I tried handling and competing before on the same day and it wrecked me. So I don't think I'm going to, but
in
at the
terms
time,
of what? Because when you're handling, you're actually, what exactly do you do? I mean, I'm an idiot, so I don't know all this.
It's
stuff.
like, golf can, there's that
caddy.
The caddy guy. It's something like that. The you have to, basically you're like the manager of the athlete. So the athlete comes in and he just thinks about lifting the weight.
Right.
Any other variables, for example, where his bag is, right? Where's my food, where's my drink? Okay.
You have to handle that.
The handler will do it for you.
Why can't they do it
so you
themselves?
get pampered lah.
Why can't they do it themselves?
They can, but if they want to minimize the stress or distraction lah. So the athlete just comes in and execute.
But okay, go on.
But honestly, it depends on on the on the terms between the handler and the athlete lah. If the handler is, for example, let's say memang handling an athlete, and they're both in the context of a competitive scene or competitive situation, then the handler will be willing to do more lah, right? Because, for example, let's say the handler is a coach,
okay,
of a renowned coaching company,
right?
So if he doesn't handle properly, then there's a chance that their performance gets
and then damage their reputation and whatnot lah.
But if you're just hey buddy, I'm just your friend, I want to handle you, then what I mean, it can be casual, it can be competitive. So the more competitive is like, the athlete just sits in one corner, then puts on your phone, and the handler does everything.
But there's ample amount of time in between lifts, in between your categories.
Depending how the meets run, yes.
But I find it kind of funny lah. All this handling business ni kan, because can't you just do everything yourself? It's not
Technically
that
boleh.
It's like if you want to get food, just go get your food lah.
Boleh, yeah lah. Like I said, depending on. Tapi when the meet is going on, it's probably a bit hard. Sebab
is it?
Macam mana? And I guess nak jaga barang juga kot, like keeping an eye on your stuff.
Oh, okay.
Right? Because when you're out and then you're in, you just want to think about, you just want to zone out. And
okay.
when you're competitive, like if you're just a casual guy, then yeah, you could just blasa je lah. It's the same argument that why you have to use Eleco? Like the bar is just
what?
You know what I mean?
Well, you have to use Eleco, right?
It's like
what is
20
this?
kgs is 20
We're not
kgs,
talking about
right?
Eleco, man.
I mean, I can extrapolate that argument lah kan. So if you want to maximize the variables, like optimize the variables, then you get a handler who takes away the stress from you.
Right.
So, okay, in an IPF meet, right? I don't know how it is with other meets, but IPF, after an attempt, you only get 1 minute to submit your next attempt though.
Okay.
And I think you have to do it with like a card or something. You have to fill up a scorecard and give it to them. So if you're, let's say, if you're like an athlete, then you're done with the attempt and then you're like, you forget about it.
Right.
And then they'll just they will put their attempt like 2.5 kgs more. So
at that time pun dia punya the oxygen it's not going to
so it's like still thinking what happened again?
Okay, that makes sense though.
Yeah,
okay,
but
that makes sense.
That is in the IPF lah.
But then again, even if you are a handler, then you still have to refer back to your
depends.
Your lifter kan.
Some coaches and handlers know their athletes very
so
well enough. So they look at the lift and they see, okay, this guy probably has 5 kilos more. I'm just gonna put
see.
And other juga some athletes, they want to completely detach themselves from that process kan. They just want to just think about lifting. So they say, okay, coach, just put whatever, I'm just going to execute.
Right.
Yeah.
So I mean, in terms of the level of competitiveness kan, because you mentioned that in order for you to be focused and be more competitive, therefore you have a handler and whatnot kan. So where are we in terms of the whole scene?
Competitive.
Yeah.
I guess meets in Malaysia, you probably don't have to go to that extent where you need like a dedicated butler to take care of all your needs.
Right.
You can still if you want to. That's your up to you, right? But I don't think, because in Malaysia, if you notice, like each weight class, there's usually only one guy that's ahead of the pack, and everyone else is just behind.
Is that true?
At least from what I've seen lah,
okay.
what I've observed is usually 1, 2, 3 guys. If you compare, I guess, but then it's all relative lah, because you can get a bunch of weak guys, but if they're all neck and neck, then it's competitive, right?
Right.
But I'm talking in like absolute terms lah, macam no one's up to the world standard.
Okay.
Yeah. But in let's say, actually even in the IPF world stage pun, it's the same pattern. You get 1 or 2 guys who you know is gonna win. So it doesn't become that fun to watch.
Okay.
But in the US, the IPF in the US, you have like 7, 8 people who are neck and neck.
I see.
So that makes it interesting lah. So in Malaysia, we, sad to say, relatively and absolutely competitiveness too is not quite there lah.
Okay.
We're still lagging behind in terms of the competitiveness aspect lah.
Right.
Do you have time to get into it or?
No,
take a break though.
Yeah, your timing is impeccable. So we have to take a break now.
Because I can see your eyes was like
yeah. Sorry, you're the first guest that actually noticed. Guys, we'll be right back with more after this. And we're back with Hariz. Okay, where do we leave off?
I think we were just about to get into
the level of competitiveness.
Yeah, competitiveness. Right?
Yeah. So just go ahead.
Okay. So I think there are a few factors why I think the competitiveness in Malaysia is somewhat lagging behind. The biggest thing is definitely the participation pool or the talent pool, right? The amount of people who actually partake in the sport.
How do you quantify that? Like,
even if you look at the population in Malaysia, right? And you can kind of have a feel that if you go to meets, the average participation is like 140-ish.
Isn't that considered like reasonable?
Reasonable. In the US, right? Then the national meet which you have to go through qualifiers, right? So that means there's filtration, filtration. The national meet has 1,000 over lifters. Yeah.
Yeah. So what is that number for us?
You mean like the total amount of powerlifters in Malaysia?
What
I don't
would
have
be
that.
a considerable talent pool?
For
you in your opinion I know it's a mathematical question kan, tapi
I don't know, but I definitely know that the US, for example, the US,
right.
The reason I'm always mentioning the US because they have like I think the
biggest,
the like the most amount of
the best
talents there, the bestest lah, the strongest and the jackest, right?
Strongest, yes.
Compared to them, I know we are far behind,
right.
And that plays a huge role in the amount of talented lifters that we have lah.
Yeah, but okay, so let's say if we get it up to 250, is that the number, or 300? Is it 500? Is it 1,000?
Okay, I get what you mean. I don't think there's a definitive figure
for sure,
right? For sure.
Yeah.
But if you increase that number, then the likelihood increases lah.
Okay. So the whole point is that the bigger the pool is, then the more
likely you are to run into some genetic freaks lah kan. Yeah.
I think Nick also mentioned the same thing. It's almost like we are just trying to find that genetic freak as you describe it, kan?
Yeah. So in the US, a lot of the genetic freaks are in the NFL, I think.
Okay.
And there are a few IPF lifters in the US who used to play American football for that league.
All right.
And then when you see them powerlifting, they're like the best.
But, were you talking about IPF kang ni ke ataupun you're talking?
I mean, I'm mostly talking about IPF because when you start using like anabolics, it kind of changes
exactly
the physiology or whatever, right? So
right.
I'm just trying to keep the variables
So,
controlled.
right. So for the context of our discussion, we're just talking about non-drug. Powerlifters, non-drug.
Hopefully drug free again.
Yeah, drug free powerlifters.
No one knows what they do in the bathroom, but
yeah.
So I think if you have like larger participation, then you're more likely to bump into the genetic freaks, and so you get to produce more competitive athletes,
Right.
So I think, Malaysia pun only has a population of what 30 million, right? And the US is I don't even know what
200 million.
Yeah, so it's like 10 times more. So, but it's not just the amount of people in the country; it's also who actually participates in the sport.
Right.
So I think US pun probably has more participants than Malaysia.
Yeah, for
sure, right? Yeah, so that's one of the of the factors that why we don't have as many competitive athletes. The other reason I think is the coaching pool also. So I can probably count in one hand how many coaches there are in Malaysia. At least the ones who do it publicly.
Okay.
Like who establish like a company, and then they like publicly announce, hey, I'm doing coaching. Come get coached by me.
Right.
There are probably some coaches who do it on the low key, right? So, but the one I don't know. I just want to count the public ones lah.
Right.
Now that's not to say that if we have more coaches, it'll fix everything, right? Because the competence of the coaches has to be considered juga lah. But I think if you have the audacity to call yourself a coach, then you probably know more than the average Joe right?
So I think that comes to what I was going to ask, because of our pool is small, regardless of whether you're an athlete or a coach, then where do we get the proper coaching knowledge? Or how do you develop proper coaching?
I think we'll get to that.
Okay.
After that.
Okay, all right. You want to go through your list first?
Go
Okay, sorry. So
we just
Hariz
keep that in mind.
Last week kena marah dengan
Keep
Hariz.
that question. But that is a good question though.
Yeah, thank you.
But before we get into that, I just want to say that yes, there is like a deficit in the knowledge that we have, or the advancement of the knowledge on programming, nutrition, and like biomechanics. So I think these three things is what pretty much sums up powerlifting lah. So programming, what makes good programming is you have to consider like if the program adheres to like some of the scientific principles around it. For example, specificity. So if you're a powerlifter and you design a powerlifting program, it has to be specific in the sense that it has to have the squat, bench, and deadlift.
Okay.
You can't do weightlifting if you want to compete in powerlifting. That's not specific.
Okay.
Just like a swimmer would swim and not run if you want to be. Yeah. So specificity is one thing, and then another thing is periodization. So periodization just means you're sequencing your training in a logical way, so that one training phase potentiates the other. So you're not just, so you can't, for example, in a meet you're gonna lift 1 rep, right? Well, 1 rep heavy weight, right? So you have to start off light, and then gradually work your way up heavy weights as you get closer to the meet. If you reverse that order, then that doesn't make sense. Yeah.
Okay.
So periodization is important juga.
Right.
Another aspect of programming is also fatigue management. So I think this is probably where a lot of, from my observation, I don't have I don't have concrete evidence. I think fatigue management is where a lot of lifters here, and maybe even some coaches, don't have it quite right. I'm not saying I'm perfect, but we can all improve, right?
Okay.
So fatigue management is just how you account for because when you train, you're breaking down your muscles, you're inducing some fatigue in your central nervous system, and how would you account for that fatigue that lasts
inside the programming?
Yeah, inside programming.
Yep.
So if you squat heavy on Monday, and then Wednesday you squat heavy again, when you've already incurred that fatigue and you're not recovered yet.
Right.
If you continue to push, it'll snowball.
Okay.
So yes, when you train, your performance goes up. So does fatigue. So you have to manage that fatigue. If fatigue starts to overtake the performance, then...
But from the point of view of a coach, you wouldn't know how fatigued an athlete is.
Yes. So
unless they tell you.
Yep.
Right?
Exactly. So the athlete as well needs to understand that concept in training as well.
Okay.
So the powerlifting is you need kind of both coach and the athlete to understand the training process.
You need a feedback in order for you to...
Yes, communication.
To change the programming to suit.
Yes.
Okay.
Tapi as a coach, I guess you can kind of tell like the bar speed, and if you observe the athlete enough, even if the athlete isn't willing to communicate, you can if you observe the training clips enough, like from the start of the training when they're more fresh, and then you see each other wait, tapi it's moving kind of slow,
right?
And say, hey man, I don't think you should try this weight. Let's just
So can I ask a question?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Can. Please. Unless if you can, I'll say no.
Okay. Compared to your days when you were in New Zealand, is there a difference between Mat Saleh in New Zealand and Malaysians in terms of communication between the athlete and the coach when it comes to fatigue management? Because you say it's lacking here.
Yeah.
So is it from the perspective of coach ataupun from the understanding of the athlete ke? What's the gap?
I mean my only source of information is like Instagram and the captions, right? So I don't really know what goes on behind the curtains, whatever. But I can see macam this athlete is grinding, and then the next workout grinding again, next workout grinding again.
Okay.
Or tiba-tiba like in the middle of a training cycle, max out. Then what are you doing, right?
But you're assuming that athlete is under some coach lah.
He self-coach and maybe self-coach, right? Athlete. So everyone's a coach.
Yeah. Okay, all right.
But there are some I won't name who.
Of course.
Some coaches with some athletes under reputable coaching who I see are probably not doing proper fatigue management lah. I see him grinding, and then it's moving slow, but still wants to push it.
Now, in the course of a programming cycle, what is the impact if you don't manage this fatigue?
The worst case scenario is injury. Right?
Okay.
But preceding that, when fatigue starts to overtake your performance, there's going to be a decline in performance.
Okay, but you're still in a cycle, so there's time, Wouldn't you be able to correct? Let's say if somebody didn't communicate ataupun they didn't know the fatigue, so then you guys, then you see his bar speed or whatever it is. Lepas tu, can't you correct
Boleh.
lah.
So but then it kind of throws off the momentum of the because let's say, hey coach, I want to do this meet. Okay, good. We have 8 weeks. This is the structure. I've laid it out perfectly so that we can be at the best. Because powerlifting, it's like a snapshot of your performance. You want to be the best at that particular date. So the sequencing prior to that is very important.
So dia lari sikit
lah.
Lari sikit.
So if the athlete, let's say the coach expect the highest fatigue on week 4, right? Because you've accumulated all that work, and the week 4 is a peak workload before we start to pull back a bit.
So basically, in your programming, you actually factor in when you assume is the normal fatigue period. Therefore, you.
It's not really predict, but I'm just trying to maneuver my program such that this week is the week that they generate like the most fatigue.
Okay.
But you can also predict if you have enough data lah. You have to work with the athlete for like a long time, kan?
Yeah, okay.
So back to that question today, if the athlete sort of messes up the momentum, let's say in week 2, okay, if he communicates with his coach, it's fine. Then they can do the appropriate adjustments. Right? But if the athlete doesn't understand the training process, I hit a PR, but then it moved okay, right? I think I can recover. But then he doesn't. And so he thinks, why am I still feeling like crap? Oh, damn, but I just got to push it.
Right.
So then it starts to snowball, and then it starts to spiral downwards.
Right.
So whenever you go off program, if you prematurely fatigue, then you have to take the appropriate kind of like damage control.
The corrective action.
Corrective actions, yes. So
but you lose some time in terms of
a bit of you would derail skit. So it might have not been optimal, can
right,
or maybe it might. I don't know, but yeah. So if you derail from the original structure, then it's gonna mess up. Then the overarching plan, kan. So you have to have communication with your coach. You also have to understand the training process, which will deter you from wanting to do. I think these things.
That's the problem goes both ways, lah.
Both ways, yeah. So I'm just speaking for both coaches and athletes, lah.
So so you said that the problem with the level of competitiveness in Malaysia ni, one is the talent pool. Second thing is the coaching pool. Then the fatigue management.
This goes under programming, lah.
Right.
Programming.
Yeah.
There's also nutritional side of it,
right?
Which I have observed. I don't think a lot of people know that they're supposed to get in like protein, even as a powerlifter. They think it's only for bodybuilding. So I've also come across.
You're talking about. I mean, I think in general people would know that protein builds muscle, but not enough protein to support whatever they're doing.
No, I think they just think that much a diet doesn't play too much of a role in powerlifting.
Really? Yeah.
They think it's just for bodybuilding to look. I know this is just my rationalization of why they are not taking it seriously. You know what I mean? Maybe they just don't know lah. So I've come across some good lifters who, when I ask them how much do you track protein or how much protein do you take, say, I don't know. You know what I mean? Yeah.
That means they're not maximizing their potential, and therefore they could have been more competitive, but they're not because that nutrition is a big part, because you need the muscles to move the weight, right? Doesn't move from sheer willpower. Yeah. You know what I mean? It's I suppose it's also for you to manage your weight, kan? Or is that's just a small part of
protein?
Nutrition? No, I mean nutrition.
Yes.
Whatever,
because powerlifting is you divide into weight classes, right? So if you're trying to maintain your weight class, then you obviously have to watch how much you're eating. You don't want to be too much calories, and then you get fat for no reason. You just waste time, lah. But I think the biggest thing is that I think people are eating like getting enough calories in, but I don't think they're getting enough protein in. That's the thing.
The right macros,
The right macros, the macros.
Yeah, I know my terms.
Particularly the protein, lah. Protein, but in particular, if you get enough protein, but you kind of have like a mix of fat and carbs in proportion.
Do you think that's because it's an indictment of how serious they are as
it could be, could be too. It could be most people doing it just casually. But I know some competitive athletes who don't know that they're supposed to get
really don't know.
Be getting
who are they?
That one, turn off the mic. Yeah, so I have personally come across. There's probably more out there that I don't know of, but I wouldn't be surprised if I run more into more of these kind of athletes again, and even coaches. Nutrition, so protein is the biggest thing, and also with nutrition, there's this concept of there's also periodization in nutrition juga. Right. When you're prepping for a meet, right, you know it's going to be intense because you have to perform. So I've seen some athletes who, because like I said, powerlifting is a sport where you're divided into weight categories, kan? So when you're getting close to the meet, then these athletes macam like what do you call it? Baru nak macam what's the word? Like Malay word. Nak degil-degil, nak make weight, you know? So that's when they start to diet. Okay. Be in a deficit. Yeah. You don't want to do that because if you're in deficit, how are you supposed to perform? Right. Like for the weeks leading up to the meet and the meet itself, right? Right. So you don't. So I don't think people macam understand that you don't that when you're in the meat prep. Yes, you have to make weight, but if you lose muscle tissue during the prep, you're just gonna get weaker.
Right.
So if you want to do that, you'd have to clean it up way before the meet.
Yeah. Okay.
The
I think
off season.
I remember when you guys did the podcast with Gwen. I think they mentioned something similar where they actually manage their weight throughout the programming.
Yep.
Of course, they increase their punya protein intake or whatever it is when it's during the harder weeks or more intense weeks in the cycle. But they basically maintain in their weight throughout lah.
Yes.
So that you don't have to crash diet ataupun
Yep.
be in a sauna for hours and hours.
That's true, yeah.
Just make weight.
Tapi even if let's say they like after the comp and then they like accidentally got too fluffy kan, if they want to clean it up, they should clean it up way before they get into meat prep mode.
Right.
Because it's not that hard to maintain the muscle though. You just have to give it a bit of stimulus and it will pretty much maintain lah. But to build new muscle, that's when you have to really push. So you need the extra, the building blocks lah, right?
Right.
So when you're further out from the meet, you can lift light weights and do more reps because the training volume is a stimulus lah that you need to maintain your muscle. When you're lifting light weights, you don't need to you're not so stressed out. You don't need to eat that much, right?
Okay.
So that is the period when you should think about trying to lose some of that weight. The best case scenario is if you can eat up leading up to the meet. If you can eat leading up to the meet, yeah.
Wow.
So I think people think, it's meet meets in 4 weeks. I'm overweight. Okay, I have to lose this. But when they diet that aggressively, they also lose a lot of muscle, and then performance goes down the drain lah. So so the timing of that nutrition too, I think maybe some people are still not aware of how to go about aligning your nutrition with your training goals.
Right.
Yeah, which I also didn't I didn't know about it until quite recently. I think maybe last or 2 years ago or something like that. But I understood, okay, when I'm not in meat prep, I can push the volume more. Sorry, this is very jargon technical terms.
It's okay.
Yeah.
I'm not that stupid.
So when you're further out from the meet, when you're not expected to perform, but you can also get a good amount of stimulus from getting more of the workload in.
Right.
That's when you should diet.
Yeah.
But when you're in meat prep, when you're expected to perform, then that's when you should be feeding yourself with the calories that it needs.
Right. So one of the things that I find a bit that I tak faham kan.
Yeah.
Because when we had Nick on kan, when he said that he was trying to cut down his weight and then to meet the weight, and then after that dia belasah makan spaghetti and whatnot kan. And I'm thinking if you have that big of a meal kan, how are you going to perform? I don't know lah. Maybe obviously he performed well lah. Tapi just that.
Is this during the competition?
Yeah, it doesn't make sense to me kan.
Okay.
He made weight and then he had to lift kan.
Yeah, to lift.
So macam kalau if I eat, I dah jadi macam ular sawa kan. I can't even move. Especially when he has to take in a lot of calories in.
Yes.
Kan.
Well, actually, in that context too, it's not so much the calories that you want, because these guys are dehydrating and depleting their glycogen stores though. Just to make weight. I think it's mostly the reason why they're eating that much is they want to hydrate themselves as quickly as possible before the meet.
Yeah, but it also makes you
full
bloated.
Yes,
full, right?
True. Depends on how you go about it. You could go wrong and you could mess it up.
Yeah.
I've seen some top level lifters who eat some a mangkok of rice, or I think he said 4 cups of cooked rice in 7 minutes. Good. So you really have to down it, just drink the whole bottle,
just to give it time for
time to put it settle down, because you have 2 hours after the weigh in for the comp.
Right.
So if you can gorge everything quickly and then you'll give time for it to settle down, then you should be able. It might not be comfortable the first attempt, but then because the meat runs for some time, right? And there's intervals in between.
Right.
So
I mean, is it always that you take carbs instead of protein at that point of time?
If you dehydrate it yourself, yes, because carbs they pulls in water and retains water lah. Yeah.
And it's also easier digested than protein kan?
Yes, but I think mostly because of the carbs is glycogen,
right?
So glycogen is the energy for you to contract.
Energy, betul kan?
So yeah, so nutrition, like aligning your nutritional goals with aligning with your training.
The training, the coaching.
It has to match lah.
Right.
That's one thing. I think even if people are doing it right, pretty sure some people are not doing it right. So
Yeah,
I'm just
of
throwing
course,
it out there. Right? Yeah.
Mm-mm.
The other one is understanding of biomechanics. I've seen a lot of people who are probably executing a lift in a way that they shouldn't.
Okay.
So, for example,
Yeah.
this I think this is more applicable to the squat and the deadlift. So, macam mana? Our hip structure, right? Dekat ni, the hips ni, it varies from individual to individual.
Okay.
Some people, they have hips that are more naturally more turned out. Some people have more hips that are more naturally turned in. So when you squat, you have to squat in accordance to your hip structure lah. So people have to know, coaches, especially coaches, they have to know that such individuality exists within the athletes. If you try to force someone to squat that's not aligned to the hip structure, just because, I see this athlete squatting like this, I think you should try to squat like him, right? Then it's gonna mess up the hips.
Right.
Not only mess up, but it's not gonna be optimal to produce force bone. Yeah. So, and some people saying, you have to pull, you have to do some more deadlift, you have to be upright, katalah kan. Or you have to pull in exactly the way I do it. You can't. You have to account for their individualities in terms of hip structure lah. You can't go against your anatomical structure.
Right.
How you build is how you build. You can't.
Okay. I've seen you coach a few of your athletes here. Zealfit, right?
Back in the day.
Back in the day. Apa ni? What I noticed kan, most of them squat exactly like you squat.
Really?
I don't know, the way they prep apa semua, the way they brace, the way they.
That's fine. I was referring to more of like the stance. The stance width and macam where they point their feet. Some people can squat with their feet forward. Right. I have to point outwards because I don't have what's called internal rotation of the hips.
I see.
I cannot be like narrow and depan.
Alright. Like so the setup is identical, tapi where you position yourself.
Yes.
In terms of your
so this is
placement.
in the context of the stance of the squat stance. And even the deadlift too, macam how wide you should stand. Right. How much you should point your feet out. That is dictated by your hip structure lah. Right. So I don't think a lot of people macam they take that into account.
But wouldn't you as an athlete kan, wouldn't you like macam rasa macam this is not comfortable for me, that because sometimes when I squat, I don't have a wide stance.
Yep.
Because it feels very uncomfortable. Maybe I'm not tak ada mobility ke apa kan.
So that's the thing. Some people think, oh no, you're not doing enough mobility. When it could be the skeletal structure that you can't alter lah. Yeah,
but so you as an athlete kan, wouldn't you know that if your coach say that macam ni,
actually you would.
Ke because that you're so takut of your coach kan, that
it depends. If the coaches say, because you have you been doing your stretching or not? Have you been doing your mobility work or not? Just give it some time lah. Which is true with any like technique you adopt. It takes some time. Tapi there are some just things just out of your reach lah,
Yeah.
And as a coach, I think let's say if the athlete feels it's uncomfortable, right? And the coach should try to investigate why lah. Which I think the first thing should be the hip, the skeletal structure lah.
Right.
If it's okay, then maybe it's just a case of you're just not, you don't have strength in that position.
So that you work on, and then you work on that lah. Kan?
Yeah, macam Haziq when he first did sumo, macam it was a bit awkward for him. But I knew he had that range of motion. His hips could move like that, right? So I just said, give it some time lah. Give some time to get strong in that position. But if it's like right off the bat, if it hurts, then the coach should maybe investigate. Not for you. But you can kind of tell like how a person's hip structure is, how they walk. So,
right.
It's called duck feet. Like if you point your feet out again.
McDonald's.
Yeah, I don't know.
Ronald McDonald.
Oh, okay.
The clown
outside.
feet.
Yeah, maybe lah.
Yeah. Okay, never mind. Forget the reference.
Yeah. So. And then there's also macam this concept, which is I think very fundamental concept in powerlifting, which is called moment arm. So
what?
Moment arm.
Moment arm.
Yeah, you did physics, right? Did you do physics? I mean, it's not quite the same, but in physics there's this concept called moment. I don't know if it's the same, but in powerlifting, there's this idea that if you wanna lift the weight, right? Any deviation from the force of production too is moment lah.
Any deviation from what?
from the point where the force is being produced.
Okay.
So for example,
the fulcrum.
I think it's called the fulcrum. I'm not an engineer, so
yeah,
I don't know. But so I can give an example. Let's say you're doing front raises with the dumbbell. If you put it here, it's going to be hard. I think you can already imagine, Boon. Right?
Right.
So let's say the same load, 5 kgs. You do that versus you tie it here and then you lift it up.
Right.
If you tie it here, it's closer to the is it called fulcrum? I don't know. But this is the
point of rotation.
Yeah, the joint that's producing the force lah kan. It'll be easier if it's closer. So that's moment arm lah. So same thing with the deadlift. If you set up the bar far from you, what's producing the force is the hips.
And you don't want that.
You don't want it if you want to lift the most weight, then you don't want that lah.
Okay.
So you want to bring the bar closer to your hips, and the moment arm will reduce lah.
God damn it.
Yeah. So it's things like this that macam I don't think people are really aware of. I could be wrong. Please prove me wrong somewhere.
Yeah. I think you're right.
Yeah.
Right. Even the engineer doesn't know what's the moment arm.
Yeah. So macam even with the squat, like the bar should be over your midfoot and stuff like that. I mean, there are exceptions where people don't squat efficiently, but they're still strong. So, but I think if you can get it efficient, you should do it. But if it just messes up with, for whatever reason, it messes up with your consistency or enjoyment, then I guess it's fine lah. But try to get as efficient as you can,
right,
as possible lah.
Okay, we have to take another break. This is so fun, and we'll be right back with Hariz. Alright guys, we're back with Hariz. We have been talking about the competitiveness in the Malaysian powerlifting scene, and I've learned a lot in the last 50 minutes, and I'm going to learn more in the next half an hour.
I definitely have more up my sleeves.
So take it away, bro.
Okay, so I think we stopped at biomechanics kan?
Yep.
So I think that's pretty much done. So to summarize, it's just understanding that there exists individuality among athletes that you just can't change, right?
You can't ignore lah.
You can't ignore it, you can also, yeah. But at the same time, we're not special snowflakes. So if a principle works for someone, it's probably bound to work for majority of people. It's just small cases where, okay, we have to...
I mean, those are the little things that gives you an edge, kan? When you apply something which is scientifically based ke apa kan, all this stuff.
If you adhere to the principles.
Yeah,
because
right?
it's like proven body of research, right? So why would you not?
Why would you not do it?
Yeah, unless you're like proven, right? Delusional snowflake, right? Okay. And I think the last thing on training or powerlifting in general is just sleep lah. I don't know, but I think most Malaysians have bad sleeping habits going.
Yep, true.
I think.
Yep.
Even the athletes, right? So sleep is very important, right?
But I just think that's Malaysia for you lah, because we have nightlife kan.
Maybe lah ko,
mama and all that. So good food lagi.
Good food, yeah. This place is open at late at night, so why would you not go, right? So sleep is important. Very important.
Like how many hours, bro? It's like typical 7-8 hours?
Yeah, the literature says around 8-7 hours, I think.
That's impossible, man. I don't know how
possible,
you...
yeah. I mean, unless if you're working, then I guess it's a bit hard. Tapi
I mean, like if you're a Muslim, kan, you have to bangun subuh. So let's say that's about 5:30, right? So minus 8 hours, what time do you have to sleep?
Was it like
10?
10, I think?
10 or 9:30 macam tu kan?
About 10, yeah.
Who sleeps at 9:30, man?
That's the thing lah, tu lah.
Kan?
I think you can.
I'm sure you can.
Is it possible? Yeah.
Boleh, but it's just that it's very, very rare that you see somebody sleeping at 9:30, you know.
True.
Kan?
7 boleh go. You can get it with 6 maybe, 6, 7.
No. I mean, like myself, I just get about 5-6 hours a day.
5-6 hours, 6 okay. But the thing with sleep deprivation is, right, I read somewhere that people who are sleep deprived, they don't know that they're sleep deprived.
Really?
But they tested some 2 groups reaction time. The ones who got more sleep, they performed absolutely better than the one who got less sleep. Even though the people who were sleep deprived felt, I feel okay.
Yeah, that's the thing. Because I feel okay.
Yeah, but because you've adapted
How
to
do
that.
you test that?
deprivation.
Is there a way for us to test that we are sleep deprived?
I mean, it's multifactorial again, but I think one of them is you can test your. We can probably do like a
Reaction.
Google like sleep deprivation test or something.
Yeah.
But with sleep deprivation, you kind of get adapted to that situation and you feel okay. But in absolute terms, you're actually okay.
Yeah, I know I'm sleep deprived lah, for sure.
Yeah. So
Anyway.
yeah. So sleep is important.
Yep.
If you want to be a competitive powerlifter, probably not a good idea to like party at 1 a.m. You know what I mean? Get priorities straight.
Yeah, there's no point of partying anyway.
So yeah, priorities, right?
Priorities, right.
Unless you're not that serious lah, that's fine. Okay, now I want to get into the next factor, which is federation. Federation, I think, plays a big role juga. Not so big, but plays some role in the. Actually, it can be kind of big because they're the ones who make competitions possible, right?
Yep.
So I think federation is important because when you hold competitions, especially ones that's legit, when you have records and stuff like that, creates an environment where macam the athletes are motivated to train, and then they take the training seriously. So definitely having meets held is a good thing for the competitiveness, right?
Yeah, for sure. Okay.
Even if you can access meets outside of, let's say, Malaysia, technically meets still exist, but it's not accessible. It's not practical, right? So that
it's costly as well.
Costly. I mean, that personally like deters me from wanting to compete lah. For that traveling factor and whatnot.
Right.
So now the question is, macam, okay, so we know that meets are important. So I guess the meets have to be run good lah kan?
Yeah, properly.
Properly lah. So for example, macam, I guess, okay, the most sensible one is the meet has to adhere to the planned schedule again, you know?
Yeah.
Because if you start to have delays here and there, that kind of throws out the competitors and it leaves a bad taste in their mouth again.
Right.
And the next thing is equipment, the safety of the equipment. I think that's a big thing juga. If you get injured in a meet, that's traumatizing, I think. Right?
Right.
Tapi usually, I don't think you'll get injured on the platform because they're spotters. Assuming the spotters are good lah. I think the problem is, at least so far with my personal experience, in the warm-up room, the equipment is not specific as on the platform.
Right. Those are just the generic.
Yeah, generic bars,
and bench and whatnot.
Safety is I'm not so. I mean, with us it's fine because we're not so competitive, right?
Right.
Imagine if you have someone like Zarul who's like who needs to warm up to 300 kgs.
Yeah.
And then you're using this flimsy bar or like whippy plates, right? So that's a real thing to consider lah.
Yeah.
There's also like even from the performance side of it, you want to warm up with the weights that you're going to lift on the platform, right?
Yeah.
So if you
as
know
close as possible to the platform,
So if you are not going to get that specificity, I think personally I get a bit turned off by that. So it kind of ruins the experience for me a bit lah. I'm not complaining, but some things to improve again. So that's safety equipment, and then one more, which is probably a personal thing for me, the equipment they use on the platform juga. So for example, in this coming meet, I'm probably going to use the strength apparel bench to go. It's okay, but for me, it's a bit hard to lift off though, because the bench pad sort of ends like prematurely.
Right.
So someone has to like take it off and put it like way in front, which can also be a bit dangerous.
Yeah, because you are training here in Zealfit using competition punya equipment. Yeah. So basically the way you set up is very particular, and if the bench is different, that means you probably have to adjust there and then.
Yep. I mean, my argument isn't that I want the meets to use the same equipment as me. Like if they use ER, it's fine. Yeah. Because the way the bench is designed is safe.
Right.
You can unrack it close to the hooks again.
Because it doesn't matter whether it's Eleco ke ER ke apa. What I'm saying is that it's actually 2 spec lah.
Yes. 2 specs. Yes, 2 spec lah. So not to like throw shit at strength apparel or whatever, but personally with my bench, and I think I've had a few of my friends and athletes juga who feel a bit awkward with that setup lah.
Yeah.
So it's just one thing like if they can improve on that equipment too, which makes like I'm not gonna lie, I have a personal goal that I want to hit.
Right.
I don't think I can do that if they're gonna use that equipment.
Right. So do most powerlifters kind. I mean,
Yeah,
they're
yeah.
probably just competing with themselves.
Yep.
More likely.
So they don't really care. Okay, whatever.
Yeah.
This sort of some small percentages
Yeah.
that affect their performance.
And the fact that during in the warm up you have a different bench, and then the platform you have another bench.
Yep.
That I can understand that it throws a lot
It
of
definitely
people off,
throws off. Yeah. So a lot of people think I'm complaining. Tapi if you're like I said, this is in the context of being competitive, right?
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
I think these are all just what do you call it? Constructive criticism, kan?
Yeah.
But do you think that it seems to me, kan, money is playing a big role
Definitely,
in terms
definitely,
of success of a federation or a meet being successful, kan?
Yeah. To have the right equipment, to have the right
Yeah.
equipment. Or the other things also venue.
Right.
Like the location should be where most of the powerlifters are concentrated at lah, right?
Mhm.
If you want to have the highest amount of participation.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not just throwing shade, but if you organize a meet that's okay, yeah, I want to give chance to this geographical part of Malaysia, but there's no one there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I can kind of get the inclusivity that they want to, but
Probably the timing is not right, lah.
could be.
Mm.
But even if the timing was okay, I don't know. We'd probably have to do a survey of how many people want to travel that far.
Mm.
Maybe it's just not a tradition yet, lah.
Right.
Not expectations. But I know in some other countries, they expect it to. I mean, if it's like a national meet, apa good, you know.
Right.
But if it's just like a normal meet, because
Do you think that if it's a money meet, then it makes more sense for
the
people?
meet definitely makes more sense.
Can.
Yeah,
Because I've always held this belief that, especially in powerlifting and also local events, the money that is being offered sometimes there's none. Sometimes it's too little to make any difference, can to
yeah.
the athletes whoever is competing, because if you do it in a remote area, let's say East Malaysia, you have to still take the flight out.
Yep.
But it's also vice versa. But I understand what you're saying, that if the concentration of athletes is in East West Malaysia, then it's it's better to have it here than to have it there.
So the Fed has macam sort of know lah where the demographics is in which
that's
part.
the thing, though. I mean, I know organization or companies like Zealfit, we have a role to play. Kan? And I admit that I haven't been participating in some of these events more actively than I should, kan? Because I also do want to see that the community grow and the powerlifting scene grow bigger and bigger. But I think collectively we all have to,
swap diri sendiri.
Huh?
Swap.
First thing we have to look at ourselves lah.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
I think the committee is still small, and I think we need to work together much better and support. I mean, we can criticize, that's not a problem, but I also believe that in all of our criticism, there's also a way that for us to help out and improve the current conditions of an event,
Yeah.
So macam I'm sure we can get a lot of sponsors, Takkan tak boleh, kan? I think CrossFit is doing really well in Malaysia in terms of getting sponsorship. Yeah, I think lah. Hopper Warrior. The first time that they had the event, kan, female magazine pun ada Walls ice cream, Nando's. I mean, probably they're just giving magazines and whatnot for free, but it's still something, something, kan. And I think if we can have that, I think we can have a better meet.
Maybe CrossFit is has more participation in general, and
I don't know lah, bro.
Or more like appealing to the general masses, ke apa.
Personally, kan, I enjoy powerlifting shows more than CrossFit and also weightlifting.
Okay.
Right, just because the energy from the crowd, though.
Okay.
A CrossFit is over time kan.
Yes, over time. Yeah.
So macam dia like okay ni and then towards the end of the time tu baru
Yeah.
But powerlifting is like immediately dia angkat lift and then every something.
Yeah, because it's like
so the energy is there tau. So I like powerlifting in that sense.
Yeah, itulah. So those small things about federation and the meets that they run, I think it definitely influences my motivation to be competitive. If I'm training so hard here and then I know that I'm gonna get different equipment, I can't showcase my best performance, and it's gonna be like, why? Yeah. And I think the fact that this could be some other reason juga, but that's probably why some people sort of run to other federations. It's because of how well they are run.
Yeah,
and maybe the equipment that they have to. Yeah, so I've also run into some of the athletes here who are competitive, and they rather compete outside.
Right.
Okay, so those little things, it might not be the major factor, but it adds up. And at that competitive level, every percent.
I want to ask you, katakanlah, let's say if Zealfit wants to organize a powerlifting meet, but it's not sanctioned by any federation.
Yep.
Would that be appealing to a lot of powerlifters lah?
Honestly, I think yes. But now the people who compete in the IPF didn't have to worry about getting suspended.
Because it's not a federation.
Because it's not sanctioned, yeah.
Okay. But really good. So
I think that's how it works, yeah. If it's a sanctioned meet, non-IPF,
by any other non-IPF, then they can get banned.
And then only then will that rule come to force again. I
do find that ridiculous though. I mean
that's the IPF lah.
Yeah, I understand that's their rules apa semua lah. Because I've always been interested in organizing my own event. It's just that I don't have the expertise apa semua lah to run one. Equipment wise, I think we should have sufficient equipment.
You can start a small one, I think.
Yeah, that's what I want to do though. Some in-house ke apa kan?
Yeah.
Maybe with your help, right?
I can help with the weights. Put on a show, I don't know.
Yeah. So okay. So anything else that you think affects our level of competitiveness?
There's also one other really, really major one. I think it's is like the social and the economic conditions of Malaysia again.
Right.
Culturally, right? Lifting weights I think is not seen as important in Malaysia.
Yeah.
I don't know why. Because it's literally very, very healthy. It improves your health, right?
One of the goals of this podcast is actually to find that out, and I want to promote strength as a way
resistance
of
training,
strength resistance training or whatever. So, but the people that I've spoken to, like Nas from the CrossFit community, again, she was like, the first time she saw macam CrossFit, she said, strength training, dia kata, no, I don't want to do it because I don't want to look manly or something like that kan. But then again, bila dia dah start CrossFit, then she wants that type of body.
Oh, okay.
Right? So that's a misconception tau, especially with females lah, because they don't want to get bulky apa semua ni kan. Or I think the other reason is that they think that for strength training ni it's dangerous and scary. Sebab for men okay lah, it's like ego kan. The more you live lagi the more your ego get boosted. Tapi for female maybe they see it as
scary,
definitely,
I don't know if it's like the activity itself that scares them, ataupun they get intimidated by the environment in the gym kan. It's mostly men, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Could be too much testosterone.
Yeah, maybe. But there are, all female gyms nowadays.
Yeah. And I think it's actually doing quite
they are still there. So I'm assuming they have a market lah kan.
Yeah. I think they're good.
Yeah, definitely. But I sincerely do want to get people more into strength training. Not just because, of course, ultimately we want to turn it into a business kan. But genuinely, I do feel that strength training is probably better in the long run for anyone. Yeah,
I genuinely believe that macam the missing link in like health ke apa is just resistance training. So a lot of people, macam my mom is kind of like hi mom, it's kind of like into wellness and supplements, right? So she's gone through phases where I think it's this diet that promotes health kan. maybe it's a no carb diet, maybe it's this zinc, maybe it's magnesium, maybe it's vitamin B kan. But then I feel like if you just focus on macam lifting and improve your body composition, that it doesn't really matter macam what
Diet.
Yeah, diet. So I think just lift, man.
I also think that once you mentioned it just now, it's probably the Malaysian mentality, and more so for the Malays, where they want a quick fix.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
that's could be it.
Nobody want to suffer.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, through all this thing, they just want to take one magic pill.
Magic pill,
boom,
that's it. Yeah. I don't know. I think it should be seen as important as, let's say, brushing your teeth.
Yeah.
Think care of your hygiene again. Think care of your health.
Yeah.
Macam tu lah.
You know, you know, you've been here and you've seen me in the gym. Sometimes I just sit down and not do anything kan. I just observe all you guys training. Tapi as of late, I'm trying to move and trying to lift apa semua ni lah kan. For me kan, there was this satu. Okay, I'm just gonna get a bit religious ni kan.
Yeah.
There's this renowned Mufti Meng.
Okay, yeah.
Kan, so I saw one clip of him, or one Facebook post lah. Dia kata, you need to take care of your body. Your body is a gift from God, apa semua ni. So it's an amanah for you to take care of it. So you need to go exercise. I was like, okay.
I mean, we all have our own challenges, like
yeah. But yeah, there you go. I mean, hopefully that through this podcast, through what we've just talked about, people get more interested in.
I really hope so lah. Once that there's a cultural shift where there's more emphasis on, even maybe starting with resistance training. That is because that's like the gateway to the competitive barbell sports kan.
Yep.
There just needs to be macam more desire or even more importance placed on strength training lah.
I suppose maybe we can do a roadshow kan.
Boleh? Like an exhibit something.
Maybe the fact that some of the powerlifting meets are being held in malls is actually a good advertisement for a lot of the general public.
Actually, it would be quite interesting macam if someone did a study on how did you came to know about powerlifting and like one of the boxes is mall or whatever. I didn't see how many. Yeah. How much of an effect that has kan.
Yeah, there should be a team to do that survey kan.
Maybe some of the guys in the lab got it now.
Yeah. But in any case, we have for the first time we have gone more than the allocated time.
Okay, I actually have one more.
Oh, please do. Let's keep going.
So I touched on the more social side.
Right.
So economic side pun I think is a big thing juga.
How so?
I think the ringgit purchasing power, right, compared to the basic needs, the price of basic needs is very, very low, right? The ratio.
Yep.
In New Zealand, right, when I studied in New Zealand, I came to find that the minimum wage is $15 per hour.
Wow, that's very high.
Anything you do, you could probably just work at the university mart and live like a king.
Wow.
Because even the basic needs are cheap, really cheap.
But they have high taxes lah kan.
Taxes on what? On the basic needs you buy?
No, taxes on you punya.
Or the income tax.
Income tax.
I don't about the same code. I don't know. It's probably. I don't think it's like substantially high, but it offsets kan. So the minimum wage is high, and the price of the basic needs is low.
Right.
But in Malaysia, it's like inverse.
Well, I don't know. Maybe I disagree a little bit kan, because kita punya food is still very cheap.
Basic needs.
What do you mean by basic needs?
Just
like housing ke, water ke apa?
Groceries kot, macam kata detergent.
Isn't it cheap? Kita punya ni price?
I'm pretty sure I've seen it's cheaper in New Zealand. Okay, just to put things into perspective, I mean, if you want to be powerlifter lah, context being powerlifter, right?
Chicken breast.
Chicken breast. So let's say, I think that the price point should be around the same, even if you convert it. Kan?
Yeah, okay. Don't convert the price like this.
No, but my point is, even if you convert, the minimum wage in New Zealand is still higher.
No, I think let's say even if you earn $15 per hour, how much is chicken breast? Like 500 gram.
Chicken 500 gram. I don't remember lah. Okay. Chicken breast about $10 per kilo, I think.
$10 per kilo. Malaysia?
About 13. Yeah. Malaysia, I think it can go up to 20 ringgit
per kilo.
Yeah. Chicken breast.
Okay. But now we have to convert 15 ringgit into a monthly salary.
15 ringgit into monthly salary.
15.8 is 041212 times 5 is how much? 5.
You mean converting it to NZD?
Yeah.
I think that's like 5 NZD.
666, about $2,400 per month. $15 an hour. 8
Oh,
hours.
okay.
8 hours per week is about 2,400. 2,400 and the meat is 1 kilo is $10.
About 13 lah. 13. Let's go 13 lah.
Yeah lah. If you say that the chicken breast in Malaysia is 20 ringgit for 1 kilo, then yeah lah, the buying power here is lower lah.
Tapi even if the price is the same, nominal value kan is the same.
Alamak, accounting.
No, this is so nominal just means the number lah.
Okay.
Even if it's 10 ringgit, 10 NZD, minimum wage 9, minimum wage 15.
Right.
You know what I mean? Yeah. So it's still the
that's what I was trying to.
yeah.
That's what I was trying to get at now.
So that I mean, when you're a powerlifter,
Chicken breast is important.
chicken breast is important, gym membership is important, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Right.
180 ringgit. Sorry. So average rate of 200 membership per month based on your 2,000 fresh grad income. Come on, it's like 10%.
Yeah.
Right.
That's true. That is true because based on my personal experience, when I started out working, the salary was about 2002, 2003 lah for a decent job.
Yeah.
And in the corporate world. Tapi I don't think it has changed that much over the last 18, 19 years. And that's the problem.
Okay, I'll give you another example. SBD belt. Okay.
Yeah.
In Malaysia, it's 1,000.
Right.
Gaji fresh grad, 3,000 maybe.
Yeah.
In New Zealand, gaji fresh grad, maybe if it's $15 an hour, it could go up to 2,000, right?
Whatever, yeah.
SBD is 300 NZD.
Exactly, bro.
So,
yeah. What can you do, man? You know,
ambil duit rakyat kot. Ni marah.
But then again, you know, you make do with what you have.
Yeah. So I mean, I'm not macam making excuses, but it's real factors to consider lah.
But then again, I mean, we can always also argue that sometimes if you really, really want to be competitive or you want to be really serious, there are certain things in your life that you can give up.
Definitely.
Like if you're smoking, if you're vaping, if you're bobating or whatever semua ni kan, those are all, kan. So
tapi macam mana? It's quite interesting though. So in the US, right? They have this product. It's chocolate milk product.
Right.
It tastes like chocolate milk, but it has it's mostly protein though.
Okay.
So
is it milk protein?
Yeah, it's like milk. It's like chocolate milk, tapi it has high protein lah.
High
protein.
Okay.
I think it's called Fairlife or something.
Okay.
So the kind of innovations that they have can macam make you adhere, gives you better adherence to your diet though. Because I personally, I don't like I know you like drinking whey, but I don't like drinking if I have to drink 2 scoops a day, I feel like macam nak muntah.
Whey's nice, man.
But if I had that chocolate milk too, oh man, my adherence to the diet is going to be exponentially so much better.
Why don't you import it in? Kan?
I wish I had.
That's a business. Kan?
I don't know, but that goes to show even if you're traveling and you're on the road, accessibility to those kind of foods is
that's true,
much lacking here in Malaysia lah. I think it plays a role if you're competitive.
Yeah, I agree with you, but because personally I think if you want to adhere to certain diet, it's not cheap. My opinion is not cheap.
Definitely,
you said once to me that it can be cheap, right? You can just beli chicken breast and then bagi makan nasi semua kan. But for me, it becomes stale very fast.
Exactly.
Because you need you don't want to eat chicken breast all the time. You want to eat salmon. Salmon dah mahal. You want to eat tuna, blah blah blah. So.
And then sometimes you just get lazy to cook.
Yeah.
So in the US, you can just I keep saying the US, wherever that has probably more developed country kan. They probably have more options like health conscious options which are not too expensive, right?
Yeah, over here it seems that you can't get it by below 13, 14, 15
Definitely not. I think it's at least 20.
Yeah. So macam I tried it. All this macam
it's not sustainable.
Like go clean ke apa benda.
Yeah.
You can eat it once, twice a week.
But not every day, right? Yeah.
Because one day you have to have multiple meals juga kan.
Exactly. Yeah. It's costly lah.
It's costly.
Yeah. And the portions are small actually.
Itulah exactly. Itulah betul.
So if you don't the work culture here pun you come back penat nak masak.
Yep.
Now what? Can you give mamak lah? Then what are the options you have, right?
That's it. Habis.
So the little things, it adds. I think it adds up. Personal opinion, this is one of the struggles that I face lah.
Right, but do you think, last question, do you have anything else? Or?
I think that's pretty much everything.
Last question.
How to improve Tak apa. We can find it.
We didn't even get there. I think we slid some of it inside. Do you think that we have the genetics to be competitive?
Oh, okay. That's actually interesting. Like Malay, is it Malay genetics ke?
Okay lah, kita tak nak lah exclude
the
other races kan. Malaysians lah, you know.
Because in other countries, UK, US, whatever, Canada, there are macam Chinese and Indians who are doing good. So I don't think it's macam like the Asian genetics or whatever that's holding us back. Because if you look at the Asians who live in the Western countries, I think they're doing okay. Even some of the Malays pun, I think.
That's probably the supporting infrastructure is already advanced.
I think that's the more dominant factor. I don't think being a Malay or being Asian or being Chinese is more genetically inferior, except to maybe the African descent. Because those guys are just
exactly. That's what I'm
jacked for no reason.
I was referring to lah, macam like the blacks, the African Americans, they are more renowned for speed, power, kan. So naturally they will be very good at that. But Malays ni, we are short, stocky, probably shorter limbs apa semua ni kan. Whether it makes for a better competitive powerlifter.
I think if you sort of scan the competitive powerlifting scene in the US, you come to find that a lot of them are actually Caucasians. That one of the top performance Caucasians or Asians are. There are not many black powerlifters that I know of who are doing good.
That's true,
But the ones that are doing very, very well.
Ray Wilkes,
Ray Williams, Larry Wills, Russell Orhe. But I think the reason for that is because they're probably being steered to the NFL. You know what I mean? NFL pays more money, so why would you go to powerlifting? And
because there's no money in it lah.
So
the kesimpulan of all of our discussion hari ni is basically
because I mean if you were to take the pool of athletes in the NFL or even the NBA, right? Those sports are dominated by macam like black people, right? Take them out, put in powerlifting. Pretty sure they're gonna excel. It's just that why would they do that when they can?
There's no money.
There's no money lah. So
I wonder lah, maybe lah. So for those of you who are listening or watching this podcast, and you have deep pockets, let's do an experiment. Right? Support the local powerlifting scene, weightlifting for that matter as well, and CrossFit, and see where we can go.
Exactly.
Right? We can. I definitely believe that. I'm sure we can develop a world beater lah. I think
boleh lah. If we have Lee Chong Wei, right?
Yeah, we have Lee Chong
Wei.
We have
Nico
David. We have siapa yang cyclist tu? Pocket Rocket tu.
I don't remember
name. Whatever his name is lah kan. I'm sure we can be world champions lah. No doubt. Inshallah. Well, on that note, thank you Hariz again for coming back to the show. And I think I would love to have you on again lah.
Sure.
To get more detail into more coaching and things like that.
Technical things.
Yeah, and more technical stuff. I'll probably do a bit more reading so that I don't get lost in the conversation. And can you share where people can find you, whether or not you have any more slots for coaching?
Okay. At the moment, I'm not too public with my coaching services. So
sorry.
But it is in the works. But if you want to find me, if you want to, in the off chance I might have slots opening, right? You can just send me a DM at how much I bench on Instagram.
Yeah. All right. As usual, we'll put all your details in the description. So that's all that we have for this week, guys. It has been 1 hour and 23 minutes. And we'll see you again in the next episode. See ya.